Let's make sure. Yeah, it's go time. One second, guys. I just want to make sure everything's set up in the stream correctly before we get started. Hey, Supreme Gamer, how you doing, man? But I guess we got everything all set up, so let's just get this thing started. Welcome, guys, to the stream. We, of course, are talking about the LA Lakers and the Denver Nuggets in a Game 5 deciding game. Obviously, this was a very... This was a dominant performance by LeBron James. This is the kind of performance that you expect out of a world-class player, world-class athlete. And he stepped up to the plate today. I mean, like I talked about earlier in a couple of my other videos, you know, I said that the live streams, I should say, that LeBron James's turnovers were kind of the big reasons why the Nuggets almost won the games in the last two, or at least in the first two games when they played against the Nuggets. And really, the Nuggets should have gone away with one of those games, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, it was still an amazing game. It was still an awesome thing to see LeBron James dominate in tonight's game with 38 points. Was not really impressed with Anthony Davis as much. I think the ankle injury is still bothering him, even though he got 27 points. But this was the LeBron James show tonight. I mean, you know, these were kind of the signature games that we know and expect from the LeBron James type of teams. You know, we expect LeBron James to always have one game, no matter what NBA series it is, to dominate and perform, and he just did that tonight with the triple-double. His triple-double visited LeBron James tonight, and you can see with the stats that he definitely did a really good job, and he actually got, you know, really good, you know, 7 to 8 from the free throw line, 15 to 25. Definitely not his best in three-point per shooting night, but he still hit a big three in that fourth quarter to kind of seal the deal, let the Nuggets know that they're still a young team and there's still a lot of growing up to do. And we kind of saw Jamal Murray take a step back. Jokic also took another step back, and I think this is the main reason why the Nuggets lost tonight was Jokic. Jokic once again gets into these mind games with Dwight Howard, and that's how the game always ends up for Dwight Howard. It ends up for Jokic, right? Jokic gets to the bench early, has to deal with foul trouble, and then we're seeing some situations where Dwight Howard is getting in the face of many players. He's the agitator. You know, every team has one of those guys. For the Lakers many years ago was Metta World Peace or Ron Artest. And so you know that these are those type of players, man. And you know, credit to Dwight Howard. He made another impact on the court, obviously with the 11 points, but also with the way that he was able to, not 11, 9 points, excuse me, but also had 9 rebounds, and that's another big impact. But it was the mind games playing into Jokic is what really got Dwight Howard a lot of, basically a lot of minutes and quality minutes at that fact. And Supreme Gamer, good. I thought the Nuggets were forced at least one more game, but I was wrong. The narrative is stupid and didn't age well. The media's about to create excuses. I think the one excuse that is probably going to be created from the media is probably going to be the one about Jamal Murray being injured. I can already see Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp discussing it on the Undisputed desk and just kind of saying that, well, if Jamal Murray didn't have some plantar fasciitis issues, really, like I said, it came down to Jokic being in foul trouble, being kind of locked up by Dwight Howard, and not in a way that defensively it wasn't a lockup, but it was more mentally. And I think Jokic has to learn from that, and hopefully he can, as we continue to see the growth and progression of this Nuggets team. And yeah, Supreme Gamer, I agree with you, man. They really do need a third superstar. My most disappointed player of the playoffs or the bubble, I could say, is probably going to be Gary Harris. You can see that by not only the minutes, but also the shots as well. You know, had a +4 today, got some, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, but it was the 3 turnovers. It was the fact that, for a guy that's supposed to be the third guy on the team, he definitely took a major step back from what I'm used to seeing from Gary Harris. So that's a little disappointing to watch. Michael Porter Jr. kind of went back to, rookie Porter Jr., so I don't really blame him. He's still going to be a young player. They're still going to have to grow and develop him. So I can definitely see him being the third player, Supreme Gamer. But it's going to take a couple years, and I don't know if the Nuggets are going to be patient with this team, because right now you have a prime Jamal Murray, you have a prime Jokic, and you have to take advantage of that. And I think Jokic this summer, I think the one thing that he needs to work on is being more aggressive with post moves. One thing I noticed with him is that even though he has a great jumper, the post moves are a little suspect at best. So he needs to work on getting on those kind of post ups. He doesn't need to do it all the time. That's not what I'm asking him to do. But what I am asking Jokic to do is get down there and, get some buckets. And if it's going to be one of those times where, Jamal Murray might be hurt, Jamal Murray might be on the bench with some foul trouble, Jokic has got to take over in that aspect. I know that he's a passer first, but he's got to take over. And kind of like I said, guys, this whole series came down to the Battle of the Bigs. And the Battle of the Bigs was won by Anthony Davis, not tonight, but I think it was won the other couple nights. And, the reason why I said it was the biggest factor is because we saw LeBron James is bound to have one of these signature performances, which he had tonight, the virtuoso game, if you will. And 38 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists, Mr. Triple-Double, Miss Triple-Double came to visit LeBron James last night. Probably going to see if she has to get quarantined or not. But it is what it is. LeBron James obviously going to be looking to get his next finals MVP. But other than that, like I said, it just came down to the Jokic thing. And I think that's the biggest disappointment for me was Jokic. Not due to the fact that he had 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. It was the fact that he needs to change the mentality of scoring, not playing to the refs and asking for fouls, but actually dominating in the game. Supreme Gamer, talking about Gary Harris, definitely underachieved, was not productive, and it's kind of the reason why his minutes significantly reduced from game 1 to game 5. And it's one of those things where I think that the injury from before the bubble happened, and I think that's kind of affecting him now, but it's still no excuse for how Gary Harris played tonight. I don't know what's up with him. I don't know if he has an injury. I don't know if it's mentally, but definitely need to check that out because it's really a sad situation because I know that Gary Harris is a good player, but I think Gary Harris is probably going to be shipped off somewhere for another third superstar for the Nuggets. So we'll see what the Nuggets can do in free agency and trade talks because they are definitely going to need a scoring guard type of player. Definitely can shoot threes. You got Jamal Murray for that. But if you can get someone else as a ball handler, facilitator, then I think the Nuggets would be an actually really good team. So it's going to be one of those things where they're going to have to figure out what they're going to be doing for Jamal Murray and Jokic because obviously these two are the superstars. And I honestly think that if Jokic could train with guys like Akeem Olajuwon, if he can train with guys like, we kind of saw LeBron James do it. We saw Kobe Bryant do it. I think if we were able to see, Jokic train with those guys and train with those old legends and kind of develop those footwork, develop that tenacity that those guys had, I think it would make a much better player. I think Jokic right now is still an incomplete player. He's 24 years old, I believe, 25. He's still got like a couple more years to grow before he's kind of fully at his peak in terms of, can he add more things? Can he not add more things? So we're going to see what happens, man. And Tyrese, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm kind of with you, man. I want to see a Lakers-Celtics final too. I think it's been way too long. I'm curious to see how the Celtics are going to come out tomorrow night on Sunday. I wish the game was on Monday or Tuesday because I think that, leave Sunday for football. But nevertheless, I do like the fact that I do like the mentality of the Boston Celtics right now. It's win or go home. We have to win this game. And I think that they will win this game. And I think they will force a game 7 and win that game 7. But again, the Miami Heat are going to bound to have a 3-point shooting night. The thing is for the Miami Heat, they can't have a lot of turnovers not the Miami Heat, but Boston. They can't have a lot of turnovers. So I'm expecting Boston to step it up in the turnover game. Last night was perfect. But Sunday night, they're going to have to be even better and kind of at the same range if they want to win the game. Yeah, I would favor the Celtics as well, just due to the fact that I think the Celtics have finally found the recipe for how they're going to play. It's going to be more from Theis actually being more aggressive when it comes to attacking the middle of the zone. Obviously, they didn't really do zone defense until maybe the second half of that game last night. So we'll see what happens. I'm really curious to know if Theis is going to, develop those buckets. I'm also going to know whether or not Jaylen Brown is going to be there again. I think he's actually stepped up to the challenge that Marcus Smart gave him. And Gordon Hayward also playing very well, playing really good. I mean, that's something that we need from Gordon Hayward. That's something that we're going to need from a lot of these guys. And Jason Tatum is definitely going to have to be that aggressive Jason Tatum. I just don't want to see him complain about fouls anymore because I feel like I've seen enough of that from him. So we'll see what happens with that. So Brad Stevens, he's got the team locked up. He's got them loaded. And it's going to be a fun game because, like you said, Tyrese, it's going to be a winner-go-home situation for them. And so, the last night they played a, really tight game in the first half, and then second half they came back up. And I do think that they are of Tyler Hero noise, man. Like, I'm probably tired of it. We talked about it probably the night of the Boston Celtics losing that game. Where they got trounced by they didn't really trounce, but they did lose to the Miami Heat, and Tyler Hero was rumored to be the pick that the Boston Celtics want. So we'll see what happens. I'm really curious. I'm really interested to see if the Boston Celtics have learned from their game that they won and seeing if they can't take that to keep going up. And my thoughts on a Celtics finals matchup, I think that the Celtics give the Lakers the best run for their money in terms of who's going to give them a game 7, who's going to be the one that leads them to a game 7, because I think to be honest with you, I think the Lakers are just too good. And that's to do with the fact that I think Anthony Davis, there's no answer for him at this moment. He's playing his best basketball. He's playing like one of the best players in the world right now. And so if I have to guess, I would say that the Celtics would give them the best run for the money. I think Brad Stevens is going to have some interesting matchups and switches going on and attacking guys like LeBron James. I'm hoping at some point they're going to attack Caruso. They're going to attack Rondo. They're going to attack Dwight Howard because I don't really see Dwight Howard making that much of an impact in a Celtics series than he did in tonight's game, because obviously Jokic is the best big man for the Nuggets, and that's kind of like their star player. So obviously they're going to have Dwight Howard in there to kind of disrupt him. But we'll see what happens. As for like the Boston Celtics, I think that Jason Tatum will definitely give LeBron James a run for his money. It would be fun to see those two kind of go at it. It'd be fun to see if Jason Tatum can be like the LeBron James to Kobe Bryant was, right? I want to see that kind of matchup. And I do think that Cantor does. I think Cantor does need to play more. I think that he also, the thing with the Cantor matchup, or the thing that with the Cantor insert into the lineup, it really allowed Theis to realize, like, look, I can dominate this game. I can actually make a huge impact, because we saw what Cantor did in like the first 5 or 6 minutes in that game, got 8 points. So we know what Cantor is capable of, but I think more realistically, I think it's more of what Cantor does psychologically to guys like Theis, to guys like Jason Tatum, and saying, like, look, there are points and there's ways to get easy buckets on these guys. You just got to find the holes, you got to attack right, and you got to make the perfect passes. You can't, no more sloppy passes, because that's what's gotten the Celtics into so much trouble. And really, the Celtics right now, it should be what, 3-3, 2-2, really, 3-1 to the Boston, or to the Boston Celtics, to be honest with you. But you like I said, what ifs are only great in scenarios where you're trying to figure out, what if Kobe Bryant was not still on the Charlotte Hornets, or what if LeBron James never left Cleveland? It's no good talking about the what ifs, because we're already dealing with absolutes, which is right now that the Celtics are down, they need to come back, and they're going to do that with these next 2 games. So it'll be fun to watch. And I do agree with you, Tyrese. We're way more athletic than Denver. You have guys like Jason Tatum. We're taller, we're more athletic, and I think, like I said, the thing with Miami, if it was a Miami's Lakers matchup, I think the problem is that I think Goran Dragic would get exposed a little bit in that defensive aspect. I think that Tyler Hero won't be as impactful. And I also think that you get Jay Crowder, who hasn't really played well against LeBron. I think there's something about playing against LeBron that Crowder just doesn't play well. And yeah, I do agree with you, Tyrese. The pressure is on Miami, because we know what the Boston Celtics are capable of, and we know what they can do. But it's really up to Miami to close the game out, right? Because Bam Adebayo put the blame on him. He said, this is all on me. But I really think that it's going to be all on Jimmy Butler as well, because Jimmy Butler has definitely not played like a superstar in many of these games in the bubble. he definitely played like it in a couple of series, but definitely not in this Boston Celtics series. So, let's make sure this is not the game where he goes off. So we're going to have to make sure that we cover Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's not a three-point shooter. He's more of attack the paint, get jump shots. That's kind of his gimmick. So we'll see about that. And I do agree with you about the lack of final experience for the Celtics being an issue. But I think that Brad Stevens has enough pedigree. I think a lot of these guys have grown up a little bit. We saw Jason Tatum when he dunked on LeBron James, how the NBA world just clowned LeBron, and how Jason Tatum got piped up and prepped up. But then he had that sophomore slump season. And I think that the Celtics right now are kind of humbled by that, and also humbled by the fact that they're looking at going to the NBA Finals, having a Celtics-Lakers rivalry, especially because I believe the Lakers and the Celtics right now are tied for most NBA championships, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure. If I'm not mistaken, they both have 16. Let me do this. I'm just messing up on stream. I believe they're tied right now, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, sorry. No, they're not. They're not tied. This would be a tie, though. Sorry if that played in the background. But this would be a tying championship, and this would be a really huge one for Laker Town, because I could see a lot of the Lakers players, Lakers organizations, Lakers fans, people from Southern LA just bragging about how they tied the record with the Boston Celtics. So like I said, this is going to be a huge one, and I'm hoping that the Celtics can get there and be in the forefront, because this would be a fun one. The Celtics have the right to hold their record against the Lakers right now, and I think the Lakers, like I said, I have the Lakers in 7 games. I'm sorry, guys. I have to be realistic because I do believe that Anthony Davis is playing like the best in the world right now. LeBron James had his virtuoso game. He's down to have one in the NBA Finals. It's going to be up to the role players to kind of come up in the clutch as well. You're like I said, you're not like, if the Celtics are in there, I don't think you're going to see a lot of Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee in that series, but you'll definitely see guys that we haven't really seen before. You're probably going to get more of, Quentin Cook. You're going to get Caruso. You're going to get Rondo. You're obviously going to get Dwight Howard in some aspect. But, Kyle Kuzma, man, he is struggling, man. I don't know how he stays on the team next year, because he is a struggle bus and a half when it comes to just how he plays the game. It's very chaotic. You just have to let Kuzma do his thing. But it's kind of one of those things where I just don't like that type of offense for him. Let's see. I think JT wants to play LeBron and go against him, and if he beat the Lakers in the finals, he would be the number 1 player in the world, or at least top. See, I don't think he would be top 3. I definitely think he'd be top 5 or top 10. I think the NBA media will hype him up to be top 3. But I really think that Jason Tatum still has a lot of growing to do. There's a lot of shot selection and shot IQ that Jason Tatum still has to learn, still has to figure out. He's only in his third season, I believe, in the NBA, drafted in 2017. So he still has a lot of room and growth to happen for him. So I think it's going to be a situation where we see Jason Tatum, grow into his own. I think that by year 5 or 6, he'll have the full package in terms of, shot selection, figuring out when to pass it. Because I think Jason Tatum, like I said, is an amazing player, and I think that he will be top 10 in the NBA very, very soon. But it's going to be up to him to kind of get the shot IQ and to grow and develop. That's going to be the biggest thing for me with Jason Tatum. But I do believe with you, Tyrese, that he does want to play LeBron James. He wants that revenge game as he beat him in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think he wants a better, sweeter revenge as he beats LeBron James in the NBA Finals, which would be a fun one to watch because, like I said, Celtics, Lakers, probably one of the greatest rivalries in sports history besides maybe the Yankees and the Red Sox, I believe, or maybe some sort of NFL team. I can't really think of an NFL team, but, I think when I think of rivalries between two clubs or two franchises, it's got to be Celtics and it's got to be the Lakers. Let's see here. I ain't down the Heat next game. They had a bad game, but can come back like they did. Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you, Supreme Gamer. I think that the Miami Heat can come back. They have the capability and the hustle and tenacity to do that. To me, what's going to be more interesting is Jay Crowder. Is he going to finally come up again and start shooting threes? Duncan Robinson, obviously very consistent with his stuff, but he still didn't really do that well. I think he was like 3 of 11, 3 for 10 from three-point land. So he's still got to do a little bit of a better job. I don't really trust this Heat's 3-point shooting, which is why I have more faith in the Celtics, because I trust their 3-point shooting more with Jaylen Brown in the corner, Marcus Smart hitting his threes, and then you have Jason Tatum knocking down a couple as well. But like you said, you can't doubt this team. We've seen the Miami Heat come back from before from the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe they came back down from 20. And really, we should have seen the Milwaukee Bucks in this situation. We kind of forget that as, these games have been exciting. They've been interesting. And we realized that, the Bucks really should have won this. And it really should be the Bucks versus the Lakers. But you know what? I'll take what I can get. If the Celtics can get to the championship, it'd be a fun one. And you know what, Supreme Gamer? I think that they do need to trade Kyle Kuzma. I think Kyle Kuzma is a liability on this team. I think next year we might see them move Kyle Kuzma. Where to? I don't know. But I do think that it's time to move on from Kyle Kuzma. He's just, his offense is just atrocious. His defensive motor is atrocious. He's just not a very good basketball player in the sense that he's kind of like, I would say he's a bigger version of J.R. Smith, right? Guy that can knock down some clutch shots, guy that can make some big shots, but at the same time, I just don't see Kyle Kuzma as someone that you can build around as your third guy, as your second guy. He's a really good scorer at times, and so I don't really see that much from Kyle Kuzma, as he only went 3 of 7, I believe. And yeah, Tyrese, I'm agreeing with you. I just can't see the Miami Heat with the funfetti coming down, celebrating with I can't remember what the trophy is called, like the little one for the conference finals trophy. But I can see the Celtics coming back. I think they will come back, and I think we will see the Boston Celtics win the game. We'll see them attack. We'll see them beat the Miami Heat. Like I said, the Miami Heat, they're a good team, but I still think they're missing some key players. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm very excited for this series. I'm excited for the game tomorrow. It's going to make me nervous. It's going to make me anxious. And it'll be a lot of fun to watch, and I'm excited to see that. But other than that, guys, kind of going back to the Nuggets and Lakers game, like I said before, a little disappointed that Bol didn't get as many minutes as I thought he would. I think Bol could have made a really good impact. I think you have to try something different because Gary Harris obviously didn't give you much. Dozier didn't really give you much. Craig didn't give you much. I think I would rather have Bol in there than Craig, but that's just my opinion. And we know that Michael Porter Jr. and Mason Plumlee kind of were average at best. Miles Plumlee, I think we said it was Miles or Mason. I can't remember the dude's name. But we'll see. I'm very curious to see how this Nuggets team shapes up next year. Is Gary Harris gone? Are most of these bench players gone? But we'll see. I do believe that this Nuggets team can get back to the Western Conference Finals. It's just going to be a situation where Jokic has to be more aggressive. We've talked about this many times before. Stop playing in the mind games of Dwight Howard. He's not on your level at this point of his career. Just play your game and let your game do the talking, because right now, you get into these matchups where, see Dwight Howard posting up Jokic. If Jokic just stays straight up, doesn't really get into the body, gets that contact on him, I could see Jokic dominating. But of course, when you have your star player Murray playing 43 and your other star Jokic playing 30, that's a big problem. 10 minutes is a lot of minutes for the Lakers to take advantage of Jokic not being in the game offensively, right? So you have to take him out. You put in Mason Plumlee or Miles Plumlee, one of the Plumlee brothers, and you kind of see the situation that you got tonight where, Jokic may have had 20, he may have had 7 rebounds, 5 assists, but didn't really make much impact, as he could have had a lot more of those stats with more minutes played in the game. So you said, I want the Kyle Kuzma available McGee for someone like Boban Bogdanovic. Boban is that the one from Sacramento, or is that the one from Utah? I can't remember if Boban or if it's Bodon. Boban Bogdanovic. Okay, he's the one from Utah. I keep thinking of the one from Sacramento. Kind of sucks that he's kind of in no man's land out there in Sacramento, but it is what it is. And let's see here. Also, I want to draft him. I also wanted Jamal Murray over Jaylen Brown coming out of college, and the Nuggets took both players I wanted. The Celtics. Yeah, I think there were some good players in there. I think the Celtics could have used Bobo well. I think Brad Stevens. We're kind of obviously Taco isn't playing much. He played one game in the series. But You know what? I do believe. Oh, you meant the one in Sacramento? Yeah, that's I believe is Bogdan. Like I think it's like I believe it's Bogdan. Yeah, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Yeah, Supreme Gamer. This is the one you're talking. I made a huge push for Bogdan Bogdanovic to be traded to the Lakers. I think he would have been a great asset, but I think he was just asking for too much money at this point. And you know he's what 29, 28 years old. So he's kind of like at the tail end, but I do believe that he would be a good replacement for Kyle Kuzma, but I think Kyle Kuzma just fits in that system. And so I think they're probably going to keep Kyle Kuzma at this point. But kind of going back to Tyrese's point, yeah, I think like I like Grant Williams. I think he's a good player. But what I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that one, to be honest with you. Romeo Langford, I thought, you know, Tyrese, if you watched my stream the other night, we kind of talked about this story about how the Celtics wanted to draft Tyler Hero in that draft class. And unfortunately, the Miami Heat were right before us because we lost the coin toss or something like that. And we wanted Tyler Hero, but instead of getting Tyler Hero, we got Romeo Langford. And like I talked about in that stream, if you really want a player, you trade for him. And I think that the Celtics should have traded for Tyler Hero. I think Tyler Hero would be, well, to be honest, let's think about it, right? I think Eric Spoelstra lets the players be great. Meanwhile, I think Brad Stevens has a system. And I don't know if Tyler Hero would be a guy that could be a systems guy. I think he needs to be free-flowing. He needs to grow, you know, kind of show his style, show his class and pizzazz, and kind of let himself grow into that. So I think that Tyler Hero ended up in the best possible situation because I think the Celtics, even though he would have been a solid player, I just don't see him being like something crazy in Boston, to be honest with you. I mean, I do believe that Tyler Hero will be a really good player. I think he could be a third or even close to a second star if he continues to kind of grow in this trajectory that we're seeing from him. But like I said, I do think that he just fits better, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Romeo Langford's probably going to be a really good role player, hitting some clutch threes for us in the near future. He's definitely got to work on his ability to attack. So we'll see, man. Like, I'm really curious to see whether or not what the Boston Celtics do. I want to see us trade that pick that we have in this coming draft. There's obviously not a lot of good players in that draft, and I think that the rumors is that you can also sell those picks as well and get money and compensation. But I would like to see them trying to trade if we lose this series to the Miami Heat, or if we lose the series to the Boston Celtics, I would love to trade for a third superstar. Yeah, I think the thing that sucks about the Tyler Hero situation is that we kind of adjusted to the situation, right? At first it was Goran Dragic was killing us, so we had to move Marcus Smart to him. Now we had to move Marcus Smart back to Tyler Hero, and we obviously didn't see him score very much. But Goran Dragic kind of went off. But I think as long as you force Goran Dragic to attack the paint and let him drive instead of shooting threes, I can live with him attacking the paint all day, every day. I can live with guys like Duncan Robinson attacking the paint all day. But what I can't live with is the three-point shots. So I'm hoping that next game we adjust to that, let them attack the paint, and let them get paint scores. Meanwhile, we get threes. Yeah, Tyrese, I also talked about that as well. Of course, in a frustrating moment, I did say that the Celtics should try and trade for a center. My three options were Joel Embiid, Giannis, and Karl Anthony Towns. Obviously, the Giannis one is just wishful thinking. It's me kind of reaching for something. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But I really would like to see Joel Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns on our team. I think Karl Anthony Towns offensively can make us a valuable option. It can make us really a bigger threat than I think we are. And, you know, what I like about Karl Anthony Towns is that he can get a bucket in the post. He can get a bucket outside. I know he's not really much of a post player. He likes to kind of go to the outside. Let me just kind of move back to this Lakers screen. But yeah, I do agree that I would love Joel Embiid would be my number one. But my only caveat, Tyrese, with Joel Embiid is going to be that he's healthy and actually practicing, because we saw that like when he doesn't practice very much and he's kind of playing games, he gets hurt and he doesn't really look healthy when he goes on the court. Is it better to choose the best player or the best fit? Let's see here. I think for drafting Supreme Gamer, I think it's best fit, to be honest with you. You know, when you look at everything, like you could have, I mean, look at the Clippers, right? They could have the best team in the world. They could have, you know, arguably one of the best players in the world in Kawhi Leonard. You know, one of the top 20 best players in Paul George, and a bunch of really good role players. And we saw how it worked, right? That the meshing wasn't there. There wasn't that good connection. But when you add to the team that we saw with the Lakers, where they were able to add guys that had championship winning pedigree, kind of best fit, 3-point shooters, 3-and-D guys, big man that can protect the paint and know their role and are not expecting a lot of touches, then I think you see that best fit is the way to go. And this is just kind of me being like a regular GM. I'm sure every GM has ever said this. But if I was in the GM shoes, like that's kind of where I would go with it. You want to go with best fit for the team. Obviously, it's not also stats as well. It's not only just... it's not just stats, it's not just plays, but it's also chemistry, the way that he interacts with people. Like it's also the mental stuff, right? Because you know, you could be the best player in the world, but if you're so toxic and you can't handle that environment, you know, with your players getting after you, you know, like if Jaylen Brown couldn't handle the Marcus Smart situation, then I think you have to trade Jaylen Brown. But we saw what happens when he responded to the right moment. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, like I said, Tyrese, I would go Joel Embiid number 1. But like I said, the caveat is that he's actually healthy and he's actually playing and actually practicing, because that's where he gets better and is actually healthy. And so that's kind of frustrating for me, is because I think Joel Embiid could be a really good player. He could be a superstar, but he's got to do a better job of taking care of his body and making sure that he takes the weight off of him, because you know, you can't play with that much weight at 7 foot because obviously we've seen many stories before with Patrick Ewing. We've seen many stories before with Hakeem Olajuwon. And many of these other bigs. Shaq at one point, you know, Shaq couldn't play the rest of the later end of his career. I think he could have had a long career if he would have stayed healthy and got into better shape. But, you know, it's what ifs again. We're dealing with what ifs. But like I said, I would like to see a little bit more better situation from him. But I think kind of going back to this Lakers, guys, I mean, the other thing we need to talk about too is just Danny Green finally showed up tonight, 2 of 4 from three-point land. You know, we don't really see that good of three-point shooting from everybody, but as long as Anthony Davis can hit his threes, as long as, you know, Danny Green or Caldwell Pope, you can either have one of those two interchangeable. But we'll see what happens from here, right? You know, Rajon Rondo, 2 of 4 from 3. So they're finally stepping up in the 3-point category. And we saw that they've dominated the boards once again at 43 compared to 36 for the Denver Nuggets. And that's just due to the fact that they were able to get Jokic out of the game. I mean, this to me, guys, is the biggest one, right? 30 minutes compared to the rest of his squad. You know, you had Morris, who played 28, who was close to Jokic minutes. I mean, that's unheard of from your superstar player. I mean, look at LeBron James's minutes, look at Anthony Davis' minutes, look at even Dwight Howard's minutes. Like, if Dwight Howard is getting more minutes than you, that's got to be a huge problem. That's got to be a red flag right there. So Jokic needs to do a better job of not getting into foul trouble. Grant is doing as best as he can. But I guess I want to ask you guys, Tyrese and Supreme Gamer, if you guys are still in the chat, what do you make of kind of, I didn't realize this until probably after I streamed. We saw that the Lakers filed in a complaint about some foul calls, and then we see the Nuggets do the same thing. What do you make of all these kind of like formal complaints and kind of showing video of missed calls, fouls? Like, what do we make of this? Because to be honest with you, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of players whining about calls. I'm sick of players kind of arguing with the refs. It's like, dude, just get over it. It happened. You know, refs are bound to make bad calls. Refs are bound to make good calls. It's just a matter of fact of how you look at the perspective of everything. But I do believe, and it's kind of a thing that it's out there in the world, right? Superstars are going to get the calls compared to regular star players or even role players. And so I want to see the players I want the NBA league to kind of take ownership of that. I mean, it's kind of like the unwritten rule in baseball, where they have so many of them that we don't know what they are. It's kind of like that in basketball right now, where there's such an unwritten rule about superstars getting the foul calls compared to regular players and star players. And so, you know, let's see here. 10 of 11 for Millsap. I mean, Millsap got to the line a lot more. Anthony Davis got there 9 times. LeBron James got there 8 times. You got Dwight Howard 6 times. And compared to everybody else, Jokic only got to the foul line once. That's an interesting situation. I would like to see him get more to the line. Murray was hurt, but there's no excuse for that. 5 of 5, made all his free throws, but I would have loved to seen him attack the paint more if he's gonna go out swinging. And let's see, Supreme Gamer, you said I thought it was petty and not willing to move on. The refs are human and making complaints. It's a baby move. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like what the NBA is, though. I mean, I love the game. I think it's an amazing game. I love it. But I think our players, and just as a whole, not just the NBA, but also when it comes to high school, comes to college, there's just a lot of babying going on and prima donnas in the whole NBA basketball atmosphere, right? Because when we think about how you have the recruiting process, when you think about how players are found out, what's going on, points per game can really make or break someone's career. It can make or break your getting a scholarship and getting to the NBA or playing in Europe. And so that's one of those things where I want to see the game kind of take a step back, because I'm tired of this foul narrative. I'm tired of people complaining about calls, because we see this from everybody, not just LeBron James, but we see this from Jokic, we see this from Grant, we see this from Paul Millsap, we see this from Jason Tatum, we see this from every single player out in the league. I'm just tired of it. I'm also tired of this as well. I'm tired of the replay review. Get that out of the game, or hurry the hell up when it comes to making sure what is reviewable and what's not, because I'm tired of always trying to see a game close in the game, and then it's like 5 or 10 minutes go by, and then you finally make a call. Let's hurry it up a little bit. If you're not getting foul calls, find another way to score. Otherwise, you're not first. Yeah, but I think that what I find frustrating, and I talked about this in my Celtics review, is just the fact that I really hate the lean-in rule, man. I think that the offensive player gets so many benefits of the doubt. They get so many breaks, and I'm tired of it. I think Dwayne Wade perfected it when he was in Miami. It's kind of the lean-in shot. You get your guy up in the air, and then you lean into him, and then you shoot the ball, and that's a foul. It's like, how is it a foul if the offensive player is creating the contact first, and then, the defensive player is like nowhere near you, and then you end up just fouling them? It doesn't make any sense to me. I would like to see that rule changed. But we'll see what happens with that. I would love to see that rule changed, man. Like, I think the NBA should look at it and realize, like, look, I'm tired of people trying to lean in. It's kind of almost what Reggie Miller did back in the day, where he would like stick his foot out and get fouled. Like, that shouldn't be a foul. That should be an offensive foul, because you're trying to create contact that's not even there. And we kind of saw that with who do we see that? I think we saw that with James Harden, like 2 years ago, when he would swing his feet low, so that way like Klay Thompson would just hit it. And really kind of change the way, like change his shooting space, right? Because when we talk about it in rules, right, you're supposed to be going straight up and down. Like the shooter has the right to go up and down with this shot. Meanwhile, James Harden kind of changes it by kind of leaning his foot forward while he's still shooting back here. And so that's kind of a frustrating thing to see from a player like James Harden. And I'm glad that they changed that rule a little bit, but I think they could do a better job with the lean in as well, because Goran Dragic got a 3-point play on that situation, and that's annoying to see. Not just because it's Dragic, but because I think that that's just a really dumb rule. I'm tired of the lean in rule being a thing. I'm hoping that they can fix that, but we'll see what goes on from here. And like you said, Supreme Gamer, it takes way too long for the replay review. Let's just get right to basketball. Let's get right into it. Stop taking forever. Have the guys in New York kind of talk about it if that's kind of the bigger issue. If you have to look at it multiple times, but it's annoying to see that. And then you say it here. If you throw your body into someone, it's not a foul because the defensive player didn't touch you. You force the contact, so that shouldn't be. I agree with that. I think LeBron James got away with one. Maybe he got an and one on one of them on Jamal Murray, where he basically kind of got Jamal Murray on his back. He was the one that created the contact and then shot the ball. It's one of those things that I really hate about the NBA right now, and just basketball in general. It's just kind of those contact rules, right? Like I said, the lean-in one is probably my biggest pet peeve. It's my biggest gripe with the NBA, because that's the only place you really see it. You don't see it in basketball in college. You don't see it in high school. You don't see it in grade school. You see it more in the NBA, and it's the one where literally Theis shot it, stayed in his position, but then Goran Dragic leaned into him and then created the contact. Like, I'm tired of that being kind of the foul call there. It shouldn't have been the foul call. It should have been perfect, but it is what it is with that one. But it's still frustrating to kind of see that. and I would like to see. Here's the thing: if you're gonna give the offensive player those kind of benefits, bring back the hand checking rule, man. Bring back the forearm, kind of steering the direction. Because what I'm tired of seeing, guys, is that situation right there where you have, the offensive player getting like 20 to, we see James Harden go to the line like 15 or 16 times a game. That's 16 points added to like 20 points. He has 36 right there. They need to really change that rule, in my opinion, and kind of let the hand checking come back into the game if they're going to allow these other rules to be back in place. The kind of the lean in, not being able to, because the defensive player has a right to a spot, right? And I think that right now the NBA is kind of looking at it as like, well, the offensive player is kind of out there. You did touch his body. We're going to call a foul. So I'm hoping that can change in the NBA. I'm hoping that we can kind of see a different type of situation coming out of there. But, I'm still hopeful that we can get some new rule changes. And I think that's going to be it, guys. Obviously, LeBron James and the LA Lakers are officially in the NBA Finals. They booked their ticket, winning in Game 5. Now I owe my girlfriend some Din Tai Fung, if you guys know what that is.
Lakers in 5. Been saying it since the beginning.
As you can see here, she's playing Call of Duty somewhere else. Is she actually going to appear on camera? You almost knocked over the tea bag. That's her 5 seconds of fame. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the LA Lakers are officially in the NBA Finals. We'll see what team gets in there. Tyrese and Supreme Gamer, we kind of talked about in the chat what teams we would like to see. Obviously, we would like to see the Boston Celtics. But it's going to be an interesting one, of course, to kind of watch and see. I just want to see if there's anything coming from Real GM and seeing if there's any news and rumors. Kind of the same thing. Dell Demps being hired. That's a great hire. I think Dell Demps is a really good guy. Drummond looking like he's going to opt in. Anthony Davis, we kind of already said that, but it is what it is. So Supreme Gamer, I owe her like, it's not really, it's an expensive place. I will tell you that. But it's really good. If you guys don't know what it is, it's like a dim sum place. Pork shalambao, really, really good food. Definitely a must have. They have them in LA. They have them in Washington, where we're at, Washington State, that is, and they have them like in London. I believe they have it in Taiwan. They have them in China. It's a good place. So that dinner is probably going to cost like a little bit of an arm and a leg, but it's still good food. We both win in the end, right? Din Tai Fung is really good food. Go and check that place out if you can. This isn't a plug or anything. I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was, because I would have free dumplings for life. But anyway, that's really it, guys, for the NBA Finals. Like I said, the Lakers have finally punched their ticket in to the NBA Finals. The Lakers winning. One thing I will note, let's kind of look at these hats really quick. Let's look at these hats, because they don't really look good. Let's see if we can find like an image. I want to see if they're like in the team store already. They should be already in the team store. Oh, where is it? Maybe it's not in the team store yet. All right, Supreme Gamer, have a good night, man. We'll catch up on tomorrow's stream as we talk about the Boston Celtics hopefully winning their game tomorrow, but that's a maybe. For the rest of you guys, let's kind of look at what's going on here. This hat right here. This is the hat that I'm talking about. This hat looks like a conductor's hat on everybody. When LeBron James wears it, when Frank Vogel wears it, they just look like conductor hats. They look like they're on a train. They look like they're about to punch your ticket as you're going from, the Midwest to the West Coast on a train. That's what these hats look like. They need to fix it. If I was the Lakers and I was designing this hat, why is there no purple? I feel like purple is the perfect color for the hat. I understand you want to keep it neutral at some points, but I think purple is the perfect color because obviously the Lakers are purple. I don't know why you would have this hat. I mean, let me look at like LeBron James wearing this hat, because this is just ridiculous. Let me see if it's on Twitter, because that hat is just absolutely atrocious. You have some cooler hats out here. Let me see if the Los Angeles Lakers have posted it on their stuff. Let me see here. Let's see here. Shout out to Kostas Antetokounmpo. He won a. I mean, obviously you don't get a ring for winning the conference, but it's still really cool to see that he's going to be there. I think that's really it. So we kind of get some pictures here of the Nuggets players in their hats. We see Frank Vogel looking like a freaking conductor. Like I said, he's going to punch your ticket. He's going to get you going in the train. Make sure that you sit down, have a nice beverage, have some drinks, have some food. He's going to be making sure that he's going to be taking care of you there. But like I said, the hat is just not my thing. But still, these are kind of cool photos to look at as we kind of see Dwight Howard, the instigator, the troll that he is, did a very awesome job. You know, a very underrated role for the Lakers. It was kind of cool to see that. So, you know, congrats to Dwight Howard in that aspect. He's going to go to the NBA Finals again. I don't think he's gone there since, 2011, I believe, when they faced the Lakers. So that's really cool to see that Dwight Howard's going to be going back there. But like I said, these hats right here, man, kudos to the Lakers for winning. It's just the hats. I'm not a big fan of the hat. Not a huge fan of it. The Lakers, 38 points. Like I said, Miss Triple Double is going to visit LeBron James for the night. We're going to see him step in. Maybe they can skip quarantine. But yeah, man. I mean, this was kind of an awesome game. It was an awesome series to watch. It was fun, man. It was a fun thing to see. And obviously, as we continue kind of talking about the Lakers, we continue talking about the Nuggets. I guess the biggest thing for the Nuggets is going to be what is their next step? What's their next move? Because there's a lot of things that we can talk about. But that'll probably be for another video, and it'll actually be for an actual video and maybe not a live stream. I'll debate it. I'll think about it because I would love to kind of shoot the breeze with some of my friends and talk about the trade rumors, and even you guys, Supreme Gamer Tyrese, if you're still out there, and kind of talk about this stuff. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it for the night, as long as there's no other news and rumors. Let me make sure. Dwight Howard, nothing really. Bam Adebayo coming back to practice. That's good. I don't think that there's any other news and rumors to talk about. I just want to make sure that we don't have anything. Yeah, that's going to be it, guys, for tonight. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me here on The Charge. Like I said, giving you another live stream, talking some NBA news and rumors, and also basketball opinions, as well as we talk not only about the Lakers and the Nuggets game and how the Lakers are finally going to go to the NBA Finals after LeBron James promised them that. And then also, guys, we talked a little bit about an interesting matchup between the Celtics and the Lakers, if that's going to be the matchup. If it is, I'm hoping it is. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thanks once again for joining us here on The Charge. Please remember to hit that like button. Also, guys, please remember to hit that subscribe button if you're new. You know, the more likes we have, the more views we have, the more people are going to be watching the channel. And like I said, guys, we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Let me see if I can pull up the channel really quick and kind of give a quick plug to some of the videos that we have out there. We actually have some interesting videos to talk about. Like I said, we have some content for everybody, right? We have some basketball videos. We have some NFL videos if you're interested in it. Let's go to my channel really quick. Kind of talk about the videos that we have here, boys and gals. If you're watching this, let's see here. You know, like I said, we got some Among Us content. That's really a fun one. That was a fun one to stream with my friends and I on the Discord. We got a Madden series. We kind of also played the yard as well. There's a lot of things we talk about. We talk about the bubble. We talk about the predictions that we had here. We talk about some FA Cup, Chelsea. We also talk about some NFL stuff, some prediction videos. We talk about Bronny being officially ranked in the college rankings, see where he goes to college, see if it's too high, too low. Do we think it's too soon? That's kind of for everyone else to debate. We got some Zion Williamson and his situations. We got pro sports back everywhere. This is kind of like the pandemic stuff. We talk about The Last Dance and how we think it's a propaganda film with me and my boy Brad. And we kind of talk about as well a little bit about who's going to be the next player, LaMelo Ball, talking about his big baller purchase. You know, James Wiseman, is he going to be an NBA bust? Who knows? And like I said, guys, there's tons of videos here on the channel. We have a lot of them to talk about. Obviously, this is more kind of in the situation of right away, kind of talking about some situations in the current events. We also have an interesting debate and one of our popular videos. After opting out, how likely will the WNBA players make more money? That's a fun one to discuss. And like I said, many other different videos here on the channel. A lot of things for you guys to enjoy if you are a sports fan. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie here on The Charge. Thanks once again for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.